Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another reaction. Today we have an interesting one. This one was requested by Blackold, my executive producers, and this is Terrible Lizards from Dinosauria. I didn't know anything about this prior to this request coming in, but apparently it's an anthology series made by somebody called Dead Sound, who just kind of explores dinosaurs in an interesting light, and this is from the second season, I believe. So I'm going to be listening to this, hearing what this has to do with it, and I was given a little bit of the context as far as just what the project is, so I knew what I was getting myself into, but apparently this just kind of explores dinosaurs emotionally and physically over the many years that they've been around in our history. So this is going to be kind of interesting. I'm not so much of a dinosaur person these days, but I was a dinosaur kid in like my late elementary, early middle school days. So I definitely don't have a disconnect from this, and I'm really interested to hear how this is going to sound, you know? So without further ado, let's go! I do like that they include like a title and even a year, maybe? I doubt that that's the like number the song is on the soundtrack. That'd be a lot of songs. Maybe though. Ooh, okay. There was some weirdness in how that cut off, but I think that's just because they're tossing it all together. There was some like static and noise in there that just cut off, and I thought like the song was done for a split second. This definitely does have that like that vibe. You shouldn't be there. You're sneaking around the museum. That's obviously where this is taking place. Well, maybe, but I'm gonna assume it is. Okay, a threat. Ooh, a question. So being very like upfront and literal with the emotional and context clues in this, which makes sense for a series. Oh, okay, that was the end of that one. I'm also going to assume that these aren't like directly connected. They might be, but yeah, okay, so it's got to be the years then. So now we're seeing the era of dinosaurs depicted in the earliest films that they were included in. Or I suppose hearing it, but... yeah. This is what that sounded like. It's like, yeah, they really nailed that. I've seen a few black and white dinosaur like horror movies, so this reminds me a lot of those, 100%. I'm sure this is like, again, the structure of these is hyper specific to the situation of the series that and like what they're showing, so that's why this is all like spaced out the way it is, because it would be, you know, filled in with the context of visuals, and I don't really have those obviously, but ooh. Ah, very universal of him to start like that. kind of coming off the heels of Jurassic Park. The interest in dinosaurs has been rekindled by Hollywood. And now we're learning more. These crazy lizards, they are eating everything. The hierarchy of everything that all dinosaurs came from the same time period as far as Hollywood is concerned. They got better with that later on, but they still do mess it up quite often. The Jurassic period is not the only one, just because Jurassic Park is called Jurassic Park. I do have a fairly long running interest in archaeology as well, so like that's helping with my references here, but not specifically dinosaurs so much, just in general. Ooh. Rewilding the myth for 2025. Why that year? Were there any big announcements on dinosaur discovery last year? We'd known about the potential of like feathers well before that, so I don't think there would. I might have missed something, to be fair, but maybe this is just supposed to be encapsulating the time after that. Didn't expect the vocals there. This is a really interesting way to take this. It sounds more familiar, which I suppose kind of works, since we know so much more now than we did, especially when they were being like held up by Hollywood with such strict and incorrect ideas of what they were. There's more care here, you know? That's what I'm getting. More wonder, more majesty. And there's still so many things we don't know. So this is kind of neat. Nice big cinematic build right there. Now, oh, the vocal lines are great too. Those sound fantastic. And again, it's like this ambiguous conceptualizing of what we've done. I suppose that there was those documentaries of dinosaurs that did come out in the past couple of years. I didn't think about those till just now. Maybe that's what it was supposed to sound like. I haven't seen those. So if that's more what it was supposed to be sounding like, that makes sense why I didn't pick it out. But yeah, not bad at all. Again, this topic isn't exactly something I have a lot of one-to-one experience with. I learned about all of those older films when I was in study for film and everything at the time. So it's not really directly correlated to my interest in dinosaurs or anything, because I don't really have one. It was just more of a coincidence. I wanted wanted to see older horror movies and like how Hollywood conducted itself in that time, how they directed and everything like that, especially like practical effects I was interested in. So of course I'm going to watch a movie or two about dinosaurs, but that's really the only reason I had that context. But everything else is basically just a coincidence and a little bit of here and there remembering knowledge of the past. And like I said, special interest in archaeology as a blanket, but more in general, like prehistorical context, not necessarily dinosaurs, more like locations and study of humanity so much. So it's less dinosaurs there for me, but I think I would say that they nailed every single era that they were writing through here. The composer Ivan, I don't know if it's Dutch or Duke, but nailed the vibes of every single musical generation he was going through. There was a little bit of iffiness, especially early on in the mix. I think that got a little bit better as each song kind of came through, and I don't know if that was intentional due to the obviously lackluster mixing that music used to have in movies, but there was definitely that aesthetic to it, so I'm just going to let that be its thing and assume that it was intentional. But also I don't think that any of it was necessarily god-awful either. It was just some interesting choices here or there, like that one in the the museum section, that first section of the song, where it was like, okay, there's this little bit of like static noise that just cuts out, and that's just gonna happen sometimes. You're gonna miss a layer or something, you're not gonna crossfade something right, and there's gonna be like the fragments of whatever left over. So no real blame to place there. I think that the core of this was to get those eras down in sound, and Ivan did that really well. And again, that new sound, I'm not entirely sure where that comes from. That might be an homage to those newer documentaries that are coming out about dinosaurs that have a lot more proper info as we know it now, but we say that every 20 years and then we learn something new. So that's how archaeology works, right? Either way, fantastic job here. I really have no complaints about anything as far as the tonality of any of these moments. The production is pretty solid. I don't really have any arguments over that either. So I think they nailed it. I mean, this was a long enough track that I'm not going to sit here and harp on every single little tiny detail. So I suppose I'll end the video here. So thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to request something else, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always. Or if like Black Gold did, you want to guarantee that I listen to something, you can always throw it into my Patreon or my YouTube memberships, where there is a tier that will force me to listen to whatever you got. That's where this one came from. And like I said, I didn't have any connection to this, didn't know Dinosauria existed at all. And it seems like an interesting project just based off of this and the slight bits of animation we got between. I'm assuming that that's just the actual footage. So it seems fairly well produced, albeit probably a little bit more simplified in art style, because God, could you imagine trying to make a whole series in like a fucking Hollywood or like Netflix quality? You're like, hell no, especially if it's like one guy. I'm assuming that this is probably one person that's making the animations and then he hired this musician to score it. That would make sense, but I digress there. It's just interesting that this exists and I hadn't heard of it, because in my TISM circles, honestly, I figured I would have seen it at some point or at least heard mention of it, but I haven't. So if you do have something you want me to get to, you can always force me to that way. But if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.